School is starting again. Each one of us went, each one of us had an experience with school. Do you remember how, when you were a kid, the days seemed endless? Even though most of us couldn't wait for school to start, some of us couldn't wait for school to be over. I was one of those who couldn't wait for it to be over. And summer vacation to begin. I had no idea how I felt those long days. Up in the morning, have breakfast, watch a little TV, meet my friends out in the alley for a couple of games of softball or baseball if we could find a ball, because and we had to play before it became too hot because it got scorching hot in Ohio. Home to eat lunch, and then we got to play Monopoly on the front porch. Until my mother called me in to practice the piano, right inside the door. But my friends could stay on the front porch where I could see them and continue to play Monopoly, so you can imagine how much good practicing they had. Oh, and then a quick bath so we'd be clean from when my father got home. And while we were waiting, we got to read books until he could get a good look at us, then dinner, then out to play kickball or foursquare in the streets while the house cooled off. And while my friends and my parents' friends all sat on their porches up and down the street, and then going to bed, looking forward to waking up the next morning and doing it all again. Any of you have summer days like that? Part of me wishes I could do those days just one more time. No aches and pains, and the luxury of so much time. But the writer of Ephesians says that as we mature, continuing to live our lives only to play and have fun with our friends day after day is a misuse of time and unwise thinking. The writer of Ephesians said to the new church, look around you. This first century world as you know it is coming to an end. Where is your life? Where is your future? The Roman Empire is turning to dust, and more Gentiles are becoming a part of your radically changing Judeo-Christian heritage. They're walking right in here and joining your church. Oh, you must be careful how you live. You are now to make the most of your time, because with society breaking down, the old law does not seem to be enough. It seems old. The days are evil, the writer writes, filled with distracting possibilities that will take you away from your journey of faith. So here we are, 21 centuries later, with so much freedom. How do we adults spend our days? How do we discipline ourselves? Many of us are lucky enough to spend some time pursuing some of our pleasures. I'm all for that. What a joy it is to read a good book after a good workout. How great it is to walk a dog, or just take a walk, or do something as esoteric as go to a concert at the Hollywood Bowl. Anybody here like the Hollywood Bowl? I love the Hollywood Bowl. Or go to some other venue where you see people and experience what this world-class community we live in has to offer. So you and I, with all of our free time, how can we use our time to do something ecological for our world? As you know, this church is one of 150 or so churches in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, the Pacific Southwest region. The Pacific Southwest region has a youth pastor by the name of B.J. Barlow. And B.J. Barlow works with Disciples youth to participate in traditional worship alongside adults. But at the same time, he works to help youth discover current social issues facing our society and to see those issues from all sides. Last week, Pastor Barlow took some PSWR, Pacific Southwest Region youth. He took them down to San Diego to put their hands on the border gates and to pray for the immigrant children who are still separated from their families. The disciple young people, keeping their hands on those same gates, then decided to pray for the border guards and all the people charged with the processing of those who are coming across the border, who are seeking asylum in this country. Even as those young people pray, they are learning that there are many, many perspectives. There are many points of view. So, How can you and I use our free time to educate and instruct young people? There's a woman who lives in Decatur, Florida, and her name is Takesha Shields. Takesha works as a case manager, educating mothers on the importance of prenatal and infant mortality prevention. But Takesha has some serious concerns closer to home. She is a single mom raising 3 sons who from time to time have gotten in trouble with the law. So Ms. Shields decided to start an organization called Mothers Against Gang Violence. It's called MAG Violence. Trying to protect those boys, trying to protect her sons from the streets. Saying that God orders her path, Ms. Shields received education and services from the community, and those skills have saved the lives of her sons, and many other parents say that her work has saved the lives of many of Decatur's youth today. So, how do we use our free time to save the lives of Burbank youth? Jesus was not a person who preached against the consumption of alcohol. The Gospel of John reports Jesus' first miracle as turning water into wine. Some of you answered very quickly. History tells us that during the time of Jesus, adults regularly drank wine because it was healthier than water. But what the writer of Ephesians is saying is, don't literally fill yourself up with alcohol and drugs or any other delusion that dulls your mind and dulls your heart to the ongoing need of society, of the church, of the world, and the needs in yourself. Don't fill yourself with distractions to dull the pain, but rather fill yourself with the Spirit of God. That's what that song that Judy and Tracy played was about. Fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. When you feel drawn away from your sense of well-being, from your connection with God, to the allure of many of life's distractions, or as the writer of Ephesians calls it, the days being filled with evil, Ephesians says, start to worship, start to connect, start to find God again. That's what the writer is saying. And at your lowest moments, remember what God has done in your life. Pray. Sing songs. How radical is that? Sing hymns. That's outrageous. Sing praise songs. That's off the chart. And sing secular songs that inspire you, that remind you to give thanks to God no matter what you are going through, no matter what you see the world going through. Look to God for everything. See God in everything. Fill yourself with that perspective that God is in everything. British musician Eric Clapton is a confessed heavy drinker. He said in an interview once that the only reason he didn't commit suicide was that he wouldn't be able to drink anymore. But when his little 4-year-old son fell out of a 53rd story window, there was not enough alcohol in the world to fill his emptiness. In Mr. Clapton's pain, he wrote this God song, which I'm sure many of you know. Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? Would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven? Would you help me stand if I saw you in heaven? At a time when the world was crying out in pain, crying out from civil rights, crying out from the Vietnam War, which would not be won or even resolved, crying out because we didn't know what to do with women who have the audacity to demand equal rights. When the world was trying to figure out how to react to the God is dead movement, a little 13-year-old girl in Detroit, Michigan, who we've already mentioned in worship this morning, a girl who had already had her first child, began to sing outside of the church in such a way that we began to know that crying out in pain from a primal place in our bodies was okay. She did not graduate from a university. She did not attend music school. She won 18 Grammys and 11 honorary degrees. The great American songstress, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, her phenomenal talent was discovered and nurtured right here in the church. And she once confessed, I've never been a saint. I've done everything I was big enough to do. But while you heard me singing about being a natural woman, or riding on the freeway of love in a pink Cadillac, or demanding R-E-S-P-E-C-T, I've never done anything but testify to the God who gave me this voice in the first place. I never sang anything but God songs. I didn't know how to sing anything else. The writer of Ephesians says that when we are in trouble, reconnect, cry out, sing songs about God. 2 months from now, on October 19th and 20th, the Pacific Southwest region of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, that's us in all our glory, will host its regional assembly. And the theme of the assembly is courage. And I have to tell you now that while 500 or 600 people will be gathering, that theme was suggested to the planning committee by none other than the moderator of Little White Chapel, Annette Graziani. So much for thinking nobody listens to you. How can we connect with God through prayer and stand up for what is right, through bold action in a time when every distracting thing in the world seems to support nationalism, gun violence, calling third world countries by derogatory names, suicide in our schools, 3 suicides last year in one Burbank school, senior citizens being turned out in the street? What Chris talked about in his communion meditation this morning. What can we be full of? What are we full of that has caused the days to be so evil? At the assembly, there will be a strong cadre of speakers. Our co-regional ministers, Don and Susan Gonzalez Dewey, will begin the event. And the Disciples' General Minister and President, the Reverend Terry Hord Owens, is coming to Southern California to send us out. There will be workshops aplenty where you can speak about what's on your mind and heart, about what the church needs to be in this turbulent time. You will be able to listen to other people share their suggestions and bring them back to Little White Chapel. There is a link on our website directly to the Regional Assembly. It's very inexpensive for 2 days of food and wonderful speakers and community and preaching. It's only $20. It's about a 45-minute ride from here to Fullerton. I strongly advise you, not because I am the first vice moderator of the region and planning this assembly, I say it for the good of the church. Sign up and go and be a part. These vibrant, full of life, dynamic speakers will be speaking on and testifying to what it means to live a Christ-like life in the middle of hellish times. The speakers and workshop leaders and the musicians and the prayers and the praisers will tell us what we need to hear over and over every day. And that is this. It takes more rather than a conversion experience to walk with Jesus. Walking with Jesus, like my little boy piano lessons, while my friends were playing Monopoly, means using every opportunity to fill yourself up with practice, 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 until your automatic response to any kind of situation is praise. God, we live in a world where intuition is not enough. Witty answers are not enough. In a time where it seems that systems on which we have relied all of our lives are breaking down, you are calling us to humble ourselves and more closely connect with you. so that we could